How much can you make with your own authority? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you my first week running with a brand new authority. Let's go. Welcome back to Trucking the Seven Seas. This is episode number 81, and in this episode, we're going to go over my first week running as a new authority. So for this week, we started in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we ended the week in Piney Flats, Tennessee. If you are new to this channel, welcome. I started this channel in order to show exactly what truck drivers make. We started as a company driver working for night transportation, moved on to a lease operator working for night transportation, then an owner operator working for Landstar, and now we are an owner operator with our own authority. I show all of the loads I take, what the revenue is, what the expenses are, and what my net cash flow is, and I compile all this information that I put into a spreadsheet that I share with you at the end of every video. So if this is a topic that interests you, follow the channel. So last episode, we went over my startup costs. So they equated to $18,000. So I need to start digging myself out of that hole. Spent $18,000 to get my authority active. So we started in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's where I basically got my authority active in Nevada. And then we needed to start finding loads. So that's what we did. So I decided to go ahead and start deadheading down to Los Angeles, which is what I normally would do at Landstar. So I did that a number of times and it worked out pretty well. So I decided to just, monkey see, monkey do, just do what was normal. So I decided to deadhead down to Los Angeles. I thought the market would be a little bit better there than Las Vegas. And I also wanted to try to cross into California with a brand new authority while not having a load, because there's an inspection station right outside of Las Vegas as soon as you cross into California. And I was kind of hoping in a way that they would inspect me and I could just get it out of the way while I was empty, because what I didn't want to happen was to grab a load and then be fully loaded and then get inspected. And for whatever reason, I did the paperwork wrong or whatever, get put out of service due to some paperwork issue and have a load under me. So I was trying to avoid that. So I decided to, okay, I'm just going to go to Los Angeles for A, there's just more loads there, and B, maybe I can get inspected while I'm empty, which would be kind of nice. So we went ahead and started making our way to Los Angeles. Unfortunately, we did not get inspected in that very high enforcement inspection zone in California. So that kind of sucked in a way, because I was kind of hoping they would just inspect me and I can get it over with, but they didn't do that. So, oh well. So I didn't get inspected, but I did make it all the way to Barstow, and I just stopped in Barstow for the night. It was about midday at that point. I didn't want to try to drive into Los Angeles at that point. I didn't know where I was going to pick up a load, so I needed to book a load. So I got to Barstow and started looking at loads. So currently I'm good to haul with TQL and CH Robinson, which is good. Those are huge carriers / brokers, whatever you want to call them. So I was pretty happy to get with them. So I was good to haul with them. I believe CH Robinson is the largest broker, and then TQL is the second largest broker. So there's plenty of loads on those load boards. So I started looking at their load boards. Wanted to take a long distance load. Just wanted to do something long, just get it out of the way and just start putting some miles in and just see how it goes. Basically, I'm trying to run long distance loads right now, because the less loads I have to book, the easier my life is. And I'm still pretty new, right? So that was my plan. So got to Barstow, started looking at loads, and then I ended up finding, I guess I'll put it over here, the load. I'm not sure how I'm going to display it because the confirmations and everything, they vary, but I'll try to put some information over here about the load. So basically, I picked up a load. Well, I found a load in Mecca, California, which is kind of by like Palm Springs area. So it's Mecca, California, and it was headed to Kentwood, Michigan. So good long load, about 2,000 miles. Mecca, California, it's nice. It's kind of by Palm Springs, so I don't actually have to go into Los Angeles, but I can still get like a Los Angeles rate. So I always like picking up in those areas like, Victorville or Indio or Mecca, California, because you can get the Los Angeles rate without actually having to go into Los Angeles. So that was kind of nice. So this was a TQL load, so I booked a load on TQL. There was no original rate on it, so I had to just kind of guess what they wanted. Again, this is my first load. I'm not proud of this, but I ended up booking this load for $37.50. The going rate was, I think, a little higher than that, according to the DAT spot market rate. So you can check, like, the load was going from Mecca, California, Kentwood, Michigan. And on the DAT load board, you can do it like a spot rate. So you can do like a spot rate. It'll show like what people have been booking that loads for over the last 30 days. And I think it was a little higher than 3,750. I think maybe it was like 3,900 or something like that was what people were booking that kind of load for. And I got 3,750. Probably could have gotten a better rate. I'm not proud of this. Again, none of this I ever show you guys. I'm not proud. I'm not ashamed. Well, I guess I'm not proud of this one, but I'm just showing it. I think I could have done better on this one. It's my first. It was my first go, so give me a break here. Yeah, booked it for $37.50. When you include the deadhead of the 270 miles, it goes down to like $1.56 per mile, which is awful. If you don't include the deadhead that I didn't really have to do, but I wanted to go into California, it would go up to like $1.80 per mile, so it's a little better. So in the end, yeah, I booked this load from Mecca, California to Kentwood, Michigan for $1.80 per mile, give or take. And then after the deadhead, it went down to $1.56 per mile. Not very good. So that's what I did. First load, first load, long load, keeping it simple, just trying to book some long loads on this first week and see how it goes. I think another mistake I made here, I thought the Los Angeles market would be pretty good, but when I started really looking at it, I'm realizing that the Los Angeles market actually isn't very good. There's like way more loads going into Los Angeles than are coming out. So that's interesting. I guess I should have done a little bit better research on that one. And it turns out that Las Vegas probably would have been the better place to book a load, because Las Vegas has more, there's more loads going out of Las Vegas than there are coming in when I checked. So I think I just made a mistake here. Should have just hung out in Las Vegas to try to book a load, and I probably could have got a better rate. And I probably should have fought a little harder to get a better rate on this one. It's my first load, so it's whatever. So anyways, yeah, so we booked this load in Mecca, California, and we headed to Kentwood, Michigan. However, on the way, picked up the load, a couple hundred miles down the road. I was in Arizona, so I got a little bit further than that. I just see lights flashing behind me, and I'm just driving down the freeway. I'm going not very fast. I'm like, what's going on? So I was where was I? Somewhere around Flagstaff or something like that is when I finally it was Flagstaff that I got pulled over. So wasn't breaking the law, like to my knowledge, I wasn't breaking the law or anything. I'm like, oh geez, that's bad, right? Why are they pulling me over for? I wasn't doing anything. I think I was going 65 miles an hour, just chilling, not going very fast. So I get pulled over. I didn't film it. I should have. But yeah, so I get pulled over. Guy comes up and he goes, yeah, so the reason why I pulled you over is your DOT number. I just put DOT number. Yeah, I just put my DOT and then my number. You're supposed to put US DOT and then your number. So that's what he pulled me over for. So he was driving by me, right? He was passing me, and then he just happened to look over and see I had DOT rather than US DOT. And that's why he pulled me over. So I was like, all right, yeah, whoops. He wasn't gonna write me a ticket for that. He just pulled me over because of that, and it's like, all right, let's check this guy out. So he pulled me over, and then he went ahead and did a level 2 inspection. So I'll be honest, I was pretty nervous because there was so much paperwork and applications and whatnot to get all of this correct. It's very easy to just you just do it wrong, and then next thing you know, you didn't do your paperwork wrong, and you're not actually supposed to be hauling a load, which would be a disaster. So I'm pretty nervous. We're just on the side of the road. I just parked it on an off ramp where it had like a little side thing there that I could park it on. He did the inspection and didn't write me a ticket or anything for the DOT thing, and he actually said I was good to go. So that was awesome. So I was actually really glad to get pulled over like that in a way, because I wanted to get that out of the way. I filed all that paperwork, and the whole time I'm thinking, did I do it right? Did I do it right? Did I do it right? Is my insurance correct? Did I do it right? And you never really know until you get pulled over like that. That's why I tried to go into California and get pulled over right away, get pulled into their place and get a level 1 right away. But it didn't work out because they didn't pull me in. So, yeah, but he did the inspection, passed it, didn't say anything about the US DOT thing. I happen to have a small, like a mismatched U and an S decal, that I had available, 2 of them anyway. So I ended up just taking the mismatched U and S and then just putting it in front of the DOT. So now it does say US DOT number. So that's good. I did technically fix it. It doesn't look professional at all, but whatever, it's fixed. So that was good. Didn't get any violations or anything like that. It was a level 2. So that's good. I got that out of the way, and now I know, I'm good for inspections. They might find some rubbing cables or some stupid crap like that, whatever. You can find that. but I know I'm legal to run, so I was really glad to get inspected like that. Actually, I'm not upset about it at all, and yeah, glad I didn't get put out of service or anything like that. So we're good to run, and that's exactly what we did after that. So yeah, that happened. Day one, just day one, I just get inspected. I guess it was day two technically, but day one with a load, I got inspected. So there you go. All right, so that's enough of that story. Picked this load up in Mecca, California for not a very good rate, and we went to Kentwood, Michigan, which is Grand Rapids, by the way. Let's go. Okay, so we dropped that Kentwood, Michigan load and then started looking for another one. So by the time I dropped it, it was a Tuesday. So I dropped it a Tuesday, and then I wanted to pick one up that same day and then try to drop it on Wednesday and then reset on Thursday and then grab a load on Friday that would take me through the weekend. So that was my plan here. So dropped the load in Kentwood, Michigan, started looking around, and ended up finding this load over here. I guess I'm putting it somewhere. I haven't figured it out yet how I'm going to do that, but it'll be somewhere over here, I guess. So found this load right here, Fremont, Michigan to Piney Flats, Tennessee. So this was roughly, I don't know, an hour north of Grand Rapids, so pretty close. Paid decently. So Fremont, Michigan, really in the middle of nowhere. It was a very small town, just a very small facility there. Yeah, picked that up there. Went to Piney Flats, Tennessee. Tennessee is a decent market, so nothing wrong with this load. This one, I did a lot better on it. I think this one was originally posted for like $1,400, and I managed to get $1,700 for it. So roughly a 20-ish% increase in price. So I don't know. I thought this one was a lot better than the first one. The first one was pretty bad. I definitely could have got more on that one. I didn't do well on that. That Mecca load I did not do well on. But this one I thought was okay. So $1,700 for a 700-mile load. That's like $240 per mile or something like that. You put the deadhead in there and it goes to like $230, $220, something like that. So I thought that was okay. So, 700-mile load for about $230 per mile going to a decent area. I thought that was okay. I thought I did okay on this one. Much better than the first one. So we grabbed this one, Fremont, Michigan. It was pretty heavy. It was about 40,000 pounds. So I did have to scale it and move my tandems a little bit. So it did have that going for it. One thing I didn't mention about the Mecca, California load is it was pretty light. So from Mecca, California to Kentwood, Michigan, I think it was only like 15,000 pounds. So it was a pretty light load on the Kentwood load. So that's worth noting as well for the terrible price I got. But this one, thought it was pretty decent, about $230, $240 per mile, heading to Tennessee. That's what we did. Not much deadhead. So that's what we did. So we grabbed this one in Fremont, Michigan, and now we're headed to Piney Flats, Tennessee, which is kind of by Knoxville. So let's go. All right, so I dropped that Piney Flats, Tennessee load and then began looking for another one. So I had to reset. So as of this filming right now, I am currently on my reset, which is why I'm doing all this editing. So drop the Piney Flats load, and it's going to be a Friday by the time I am good to grab a load. So looking for a load. I did end up finding one going from Johnson City, Tennessee to Dallas, Texas, and then back. So it was a multi-stopper. So I just grab it in Johnson City, Tennessee, which is about 30 miles away, take it to Dallas, and then take it right back to basically where I am right now, Johnson City, Tennessee. And that'll be that load. However, as you could probably guess, I'm not going to get another 1,700 miles in this paycheck. So we're going to go ahead and get into the spreadsheet right now. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to run through week one. I'm just going to spit out the numbers real quick. And then after I'm done spitting out the numbers and going over it, I'm going to go back and I'm going to explain everything, okay? So just hang tight. I'm going to go over the numbers, and then if you get confused, don't worry. I'm going to go back and I'm going to explain everything. But for right now, I'm just going to go through week one and then give a rundown of this new spreadsheet. If you're a returning viewer, there isn't much that's changed at all, so you should be able to follow right along. If you're new, I will break it down after I go over week one. But for right now, we're going to go over week one, all the numbers, and then I'm going to go back and explain everything to you. Okay? So let's go. Now, if you want to follow along as I'm doing this, you can do so. This spreadsheet is available in the About section down below. You can just open it up, You can click on it, open it up, and once you open it, you can see everything. You can also download it if you want to an Excel sheet. Just hit File, Download, and then download it to an Excel sheet. And after that, you can actually use it however you please. So if you want to just open it up and follow along, you can do that as well. So that's available to you as well. It's in the About section down below. For week 1, we did 2 loads. In those 2 loads, we got 3,167 miles. We were paid a total of $5,450 at $1.72 per mile. Fuel expenses were $1,381 at 44 cents per mile. Maintenance expenses were $749 at 24 cents per mile. Other expenses, tolls $127, OTR factoring $193, scales $35 for a total of $356 at 11 cents per mile. Totals for week 1, total expenses were $2,486 at 79 cents per mile. Total revenue was $5,450 at $1.72 per mile. That brought our net settlement to $2,963 at 94 cents per mile. Okay, so that was week 1. Now I'm just going to go back and explain the spreadsheet real quick to everyone. Returning viewers, again, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise. There's not much difference. And for the returning viewers, it'll help break everything down. Okay, so just giving a rundown of the spreadsheet itself. So at the very top, you'll see my startup costs. So there were huge startup costs to start my own authority. I had to pay for insurance, and then there was a bunch of other stuff, the trailer down payment and everything like that, the DMV registration and everything like that. That's up here at the very top. So if you go, there's week 1 that I just went over, and then if you scroll up, there's startup costs. So I went over this last episode. I'm not going to go over it again. If you want to know more about that, you can watch my previous episode. But at the top here are the startup costs. Total startup costs for $18,000. So I'm currently $18,000 in the hole, or it was $18,000 in the hole before this first week. So that's that up there. Pretty self-explanatory. It's just adding all the costs up, fixed and variable, into these 2 columns right here, and then you get a total of $18,000. So that's what I use to start. That's what it cost me to start the company, and those are those numbers right there. Again, watch the previous episode for more information on startup costs. Now we're moving into week 1. So just go line by line here. So this is just week 1. Next week, I'll probably make another video on week 2. After that, week 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll try to post a video every week, especially in the beginning here, because it's kind of important. So I try to post a video every week, and just breaking it down, you could see from to. So I picked up that first load from Mecca, California, dropped it in Kenwood, Michigan. My loaded miles were 2,138. My deadhead miles or empty miles were 271. Got paid $3,750, as I already mentioned, for that load. And then it just calculates my rate per mile right there. This rate per mile does include loaded and empty miles. So if you minus the empty, it goes up to $1.75 per mile, which is still not very good. Not proud of that load, but that's what I did. So there's that one. And then same idea here. Dropped that one in Kentwood, Michigan. Picked up the next one in Fremont, Michigan. Went to Piney Flats, which is where I currently am. Loaded miles are 705. Empty was 53. $1,700, $224 per mile. And I booked it. Yeah, so I booked that one for $240 per mile if you don't include deadhead. And then down here, total revenue, again, just adds everything up. So it just adds these 2 numbers up right there, puts it right there, takes the total mileage, gives you a cost per mile right there, or a total revenue per mile. So my total revenue per mile was $1.72 per mile that week. So that is revenue right there. That's my revenue. It just adds it up together, okay? Going down, so the new viewers might notice I put this in here, variable costs. So I'm going to start breaking everything down into variable and fixed costs right here. You'll see new columns there, or rows right there. So just a note there, I did add that in. I wasn't keeping track of variable and fixed costs before, because while working for Landstar, my fixed costs weren't very high because they were taking care of my insurance and everything like that. So I never felt the need to kind of track it that closely. But now that I have to pay my own insurance and everything, yeah, my fixed costs are pretty high and they're worth noting. So I started to do that. So that's what that is right there. And you can see total variable costs, total fixed costs. And I did add a column in the averages and everything down below, totaling all of that. So I'll go over that in a second, though. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Anyway, so I did add variable costs and fixed costs, but keeping going, just going straight down. So below the revenue right here, you'll start seeing the costs. So fuel expenses. So this is just all my fuel expenses. I'm going to start keeping track of my gallons and things like that, so that's very handy, and where I'm fueling up. So there's where I fueled up. Just shows how much I spent on fuel and what my cost, my cent per mile cost on fuel was, 44 cents per mile. It's pretty standard. My costs have been 44 to 40 to 50 cents per mile basically the entire time. So that's what that is right there. Yeah, there's my fuel costs. There you go. Don't know what else to say. Maintenance costs. So right before I left Las Vegas, I did decide to give my APU a PM, so just an oil change and whatnot. They also flushed out the coolant and everything. It was the first major PM I did on it. Felt necessary to do that, so I went ahead and did that. It was a kind of a big boy PM. It cost me $749, so that's that right there. So these are maintenance costs right here. Cost me 24 cents per mile. I don't always have maintenance expenses. I would say usually I don't, but in this instance I did have a maintenance expense, and all maintenance expenses will go right there. So there's that. And then other expenses, just other expenses. If I needed to get a hotel because my truck was in maintenance, I would put that right there. Tolls, I had to go through Oklahoma. There are tolls in Oklahoma, and then there were some in Illinois as well, so I did that. I am using a factoring company, so I am using OTR factoring to factor my loads. So that cost is right there. If you want to use them, there's a link in the About section down below, and you can click that link and fill them out. But I am using a factoring company, and I went with OTR factoring, so that is that right there. Scale, so I did scale in Fremont, Michigan. So after I picked the load up in Fremont, Michigan, I did scale it. And then while in Vegas, I decided to get a complete empty weight and a complete empty weight, and then a bobtail weight of my truck, just so I had it. I just wanted to be absolutely sure what those two weights were with the trailer I have. So that's why it's $35. That's 3 scales plus a reweigh after the Fremont load. So I did get $35 of scales. So there's that. And then the other expenses right here, self-explanatory, just adds the other expenses right there. And for this week, they total 11 cents per mile. And then down here, you'll see fixed costs. Again, this is a little bit new. Decided to break everything down into fixed and variable costs. So there's that right there. The main fixed costs I'm foreseeing are the insurance, the trailer payment, and the APU payment. I didn't have any of that this week, so there are no fixed costs. So I'll just actually put that as a 0. And then there. So 0 fixed costs this week. Didn't have any, which is good. All right, then, yeah, near here at the bottom shows my expenses. So my expenses were just $2,486, which is that, plus that, which equals that. And it would also add this as well. If there was anything in there, it would add that as well, but there's nothing there, so there's nothing to add. And then revenue, just right up here. That's my total revenue. Just adds that up here near week 1 and puts it right there. So there's my revenue. And then settlement, this is just revenue minus expenses equals my settlement. And my settlement for this week was $2,963. And then all you do is you take 3,167 miles divided by 2,963, and you get 94 cents per mile. So I made 94 cents per mile this week. All right, I'm going to keep scrolling down and go over the rest of this stuff. So if you scroll down a little bit further, you start getting into things like averages and totals and everything like that. So as of right now, none of this information is relevant because there are no averages. It's just week 1, right? So you see here, currently my total profit loss, I'm down negative $15,000. So my startup costs are still, I'm going to have to dig myself out of that hole for quite a while. I don't think I'm going to be breaking even until April sometime. So there's that right there. Shows, it does the same thing. So instead of just showing, so you see right here, that's week 1, right? If I had a week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, it would add the settlement and everything, and the expenses and the revenue, and it would compile it all right there. So for the expenses, my total expenses are $20,000. Total revenue is only $5,000. And then that gave me a negative $15,000 in the red. So that's what this is right here. Right now, this is just adding week 1 and my startup costs. So that's all there is to add. And it's not too relevant, right? It's not really accurate because, you know, it's just 1 week. So yeah, right now averaging negative $4.83 per mile because of the startup costs. So there's that. And then if you scroll down, it'll go over, I have averages and other information here. Again, none of it's accurate or reflective of what a truck driver actually makes because it's only 1 week and everything's in the red right now. But I'll show like my average weekly paycheck once it starts getting in the green. My average fuel consumption, my total gallons of fuel used, my average MPG, my average price per gallon, that I'm spending. My maintenance costs, variable costs, fixed costs, all this stuff. It'll show a bunch of information, and also like how many days I've been employed, how many days I've taken off, what my average load length is. It'll show a lot of information down here, but as of this moment, none of it is really accurate because, again, it's just the first week and there really aren't any averages. So I'm not going to go over this, but the returning viewers will know exactly what that is. But if you're new, I'm going to go over that at a later date, but for right now, it's just not very relevant, but you will see it down there if you open up the spreadsheet and look at it. So there you go. Oh, and lastly, I am a dry van carrier, so I am driving a dry van right now. Okay, so there was a quick rundown of the spreadsheet. So if you're a new viewer, that was probably very confusing, which is totally understandable. There's just a ton of data in this, and yeah, there's just a ton of data in this, and it's we're kind of weird because right now I have these huge startup costs right here, $18,000 in startup costs. So I'm in the red for 18 grand. Then I had this week, and yeah, this week was okay, but we are still deep in the red due to the startup costs. So this will start to average out, and probably about April, I'm guessing I'll be back in the green. But right now we're deep in the red, negative 15 grand in the red, and we've only run 1 week. So that's what it's all about. Now, as far as that first week, I think that first week actually went decently well. I think it went okay. So this load right here, again, not proud of that load. $1.56 per mile. That's not good, especially out of LA. I should have just stayed in Vegas and picked something up in Vegas, but you know, you live and you learn. So that one wasn't good. This one was decent. I thought I did well on this one. You know, this 240 per mile before deadhead, I think that's okay. So that one, decent. This one, bad, really bad. But either way, we still walked away with almost 3,000 this week. Not too bad. 94 cents per mile, you know, 3,000 miles. That's good. You know, if I could do that every single week, I'd be doing good. However, should be noted that there were no fixed costs. So I didn't have to pay out insurance this week. No trailer payment, no APU payment. You get the idea. So 3,000 the first week, 94 cents per mile, 3,000 miles. That's where we're at. So that is the first week running with my new authority. There you go. Okay, yeah, so there is my first week running with my new authority. I will start posting a video. I'll try to post a video every week. If I get hung up, it might be every other week, but at the start here, I'm definitely gonna try to post a video every week and let you know how things are going. I'm gonna try to run, I think probably Texas to the Chicago market seems like the best bet right now. From what I'm seeing, I think that Texas is the best market in the United States right now in terms of spot rates. And then the Midwest is also very, very good. So that's what I'm probably gonna try to run. I'll probably do the South as well. So I am in the South right now. I'm in Tennessee, and I'll try to run that. Just keep slugging along and doing that. And yeah, so I'll probably say that the week ends on Friday. So right now, I think it's a Thursday, right? Yes, a Thursday, but I'm not going to be able to get a load in by Friday. So I'm probably going to say that the week starts and ends on Friday. So you might see a video on Saturday, Sunday time frame, I'm guessing every week. This one's going to come out a little early, but that's probably what I'm going to do. Like every Friday is the end of the week. So yeah, there's that. Okay, yeah, so there's week one, and just a quick rundown of the spreadsheet. If you're a new viewer here, the more you watch this, the more it's probably going to make sense. Right now, this is just kind of confusing because the averages and a lot of the cells just don't make any sense because I'm just so deep in the red right now that you know, down here, specifically down here among the averages and other information, it just makes no sense. So if you open it up, it'll probably be very confusing, but as time goes on and you watch these videos more and I give you more and more rundowns of this stuff, it'll probably start to make a lot more sense. But as of right now, we are total down $15,294 at negative $4.83 per mile. And that is where we're at, and it's probably going to take me until April to dig out of that hole. So, yep. But that will pretty much do it for this episode. Again, if you were interested in this spreadsheet or any of the other spreadsheets I've done in the past, they are available in the About section down below. After you open them, you could just hit File, Download, and then download them to a Microsoft Excel sheet. And then after you download them to a Microsoft Excel sheet, you can use them however you please. If you were interested in OTR factoring, there is a link in the About section down below. Feel free to use that link. I am currently using them, and they seem to be all right. So there's that. But that will pretty much do it for this episode. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.